This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for May 1, 2023. And in the news this evening, taxi operator gunned down in Green Island, Hanover. A taxi operator was shot and killed by a gunman in Green Island, Hanover on Sunday night. He has been identified as 40-year-old Oswald Henry of Caldwell District in the parish. Reports from the Green Island police are that about 9:30 p.m., Henry was parked in the vicinity of the Green Island Square awaiting passengers when he was ambushed by one of two men traveling on a motorcycle. The gunman opened fire, hitting Henry multiple times before fleeing. The injured man was rushed to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Police probe double murder at the People's Arcade in Mobay. Personnel from the Major Investigation Division are probing the shooting deaths of a man and a woman inside the People's Arcade in Montego Bay, St. James on Monday morning. The victims have been identified as 30-year-old Ricardo Green, a vendor of Glendevon in St. James, and 24-year-old Vanessa Hopkins of a St. Anne address. It is reported that shortly after 8 a.m., a resident went to a room occupied by Green inside the arcade and discovered the pair dead. Their hands and feet were reportedly bound. The police are processing the scene. Protesting residents mount roadblocks in eastern Portland. Residents of Ferry Hill in eastern Portland have mounted roadblocks along the main road from Point Sienna Park to Boston. They are protesting over a prolonged dust nuisance, absence of piped water, and bad road conditions. The roadblocks were mounted from as early as 5 a.m. Monday using old refrigerators, downed trees, metal drums, and boulders. Vehicular traffic has been brought to a halt, and some students attending Titchfield, Port Antonio, and Happy Grove High Schools have been returning home. The blockades have also left many employed persons stranded. The police attempted to clear a section of the road. Customers frustrated as numerous ATMs out of service after latest beryllium attack. There were huge crowds outside working automated teller machines in the corporate area on Monday amid a disruption in the ATM network of financial institutions after Saturday's attack on a beryllium limited security team in St. Thomas. The National Commercial Bank ATMs on Northford Boulevard in New Kingston and the Scotiabank ATMs on Halfway Tree Road are among the numerous machines that were out of service up to early in the afternoon, much to the inconvenience of persons seeking cash and other banking services. It resulted in long lines and huge crowds at the few working ATMs across the Kingston metropolitan area, while many people also flocked inside the banking halls. At the NCB ATM in Halfway Tree, many among the scores gathered to use the machine showed their exasperation and annoyance over the long wait. NCB on Sunday warned its customers to be prepared for delays. We regret to inform you that there will be disruptions in our ABM services due to reduced operations from beryllium following yesterday's attack in St. Thomas. We understand that this may cause inconvenience and frustration, but we assure you that we are working diligently to minimize the impact on our customers, the bank said in a tweet. A security guard employed to Beryllium Limited was shot and injured in the incident, which took place at a gas station in Albion, St. Thomas, while his team serviced an ATM on Saturday morning. It is not clear whether the criminals made off with any cash. It was the latest in a string of armed robbery attacks on Beryllium security personnel transporting cash. 2 teenage girls among 3 shot in Westmoorland. 3 teens, including girls aged 14 and 15, were shot and injured in Greenhill Morgan's Bridge, Westmoorland on Sunday night. The 3 were reportedly at home when they were shot, police said. The other injured person was a 19-year-old man. Information reaching the news was that around 10 p.m., all 3 were inside their home when loud banging was heard, followed by several loud explosions. After the shooting, it was realized that the 3 were suffering from what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the right hand, head, and right leg. They were assisted to a hospital where they were treated and admitted in stable condition. Police later processed the scene and found 11 spent casings. Security companies want high-powered guns for guards. In the wake of a string of recent attacks on security guards delivering cash, security companies have asked the relevant authorities to grant a permission for guards to carry high-powered weapons. Lieutenant Commander George Overton, president of the Jamaica Society for Industrial Security, told the news that security stakeholders are awaiting the government's decision on the matter. Investigations continue following Saturday's gun attack on a beryllium security company armored vehicle in Albion, St. Thomas during an attempted robbery. The police have detained several persons of interest in connection with the incident. One of the beryllium guards was wounded when armed thugs carrying high-powered weapons attacked the guards who were delivering cash at an ATM and the Western Union outlet. The guard sustained non-life-threatening injuries after the bullets struck his vest. This is the fourth such attack on beryllium armored vehicles in the last 3 months. American avoids huge fine for concealment of US $50,000 on Jamaica visit. A U.S. citizen who failed to declare US $50,000 or Jamaican $7.6 million when he traveled to Jamaica 2 years ago avoided a Jamaican $22 million fine for the offense in the St. James Parish Court on Friday. Kenardo Cook was alleged to have traveled to Montego Bay with a sum of US $50,000 in cash from the United States in April 2021. The money was allegedly found wrapped in wigs concealed in his suitcase, and Cook was subsequently arrested and charged. Cook was slapped with a raft of charges, including the offenses of cross-border movement of funds, conspiracy, possession of criminal property, and the concealment of criminal property. He was eventually offered a station bail, following the efforts of his lawyer Abledon Foote. Following several submissions last week Friday, Cook was freed of the conspiracy and the cross-border movement of funds charges and entered a plea for possession and concealment. He was eventually fined in the sum of $1 million. Foote expressed gratitude for the outcome, as the penalty for cross-border movements of funds would have been triple the amount discovered pursuant to Section 101 of the Proceeds of Crime Act, which would have been US $150,000 or approximately Jamaican $22 million. Man pleads guilty to killing fruit vendor in May Pen. A Clarendon man who last week pleaded guilty to a raft of offenses stemming from the murder of a vendor on February 14 this year is facing the possibility of being slapped with a minimum of 15 years in prison for possession of a prohibited weapon under the new Firearms Act. Romeo Fullerton, a 20-year-old resident of Geron Avenue, Effortville in May Pen, Clarendon, pleaded guilty to the murder of 27-year-old fruit vendor Keith McIntosh. The incident was committed in May Pen. In addition to murder, Fullerton also pleaded guilty to possession of a prohibited weapon, unauthorized possession of ammunition, use of a prohibited weapon to commit a felony, and robbery with aggravation. The new Firearms Prohibition, Restriction and Regulation Act, which took effect on November 1, 2022, carries a mandatory minimum of 15 years behind bars for certain offenses, including illegal possession of a prohibited weapon. Fullerton is expected to be sentenced by High Court Judge Justice Anne-Marie Lawrence Granger on July 6. A social inquiry report and an antecedent report have been ordered for the 20-year-old convict ahead of the sentencing hearing. Reports are that about 8:30 p.m. on February 14, McIntosh was at his stall when Fullerton and another man approached him and attempted to rob him. During an altercation, Fullerton allegedly brandished a handgun from a bag and opened fire, hitting McIntosh in his forehead and the chest. A bag was allegedly stolen from McIntosh during the incident. He was taken to hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Investigations led to the arrest of Fullerton, who was subsequently charged. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.